line out, bag it up.
Hi everyone, I'm Ken Verderami, and welcome to another edition of the Ultimate Steel Shooter, where we talk about all things and only things Steel Challenge. Okay, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Before we jump into today's topic, a quick reminder, as always, if you are interested in my dry fire training system for Steel Challenge, head on over to our website, steelshootbanners.com, and there you can check out all our banners for all 8 Steel Challenge stages. Of course, in addition, we have over 40 USPSA training banners, 15 USPSA official classifier stages, and the 3 official stages for the Glock Shooting Sports Federation if you're a Glock competition shooter. Also, don't forget my books, Do You Still Feel the Need for Speed? My latest edition with 40 new pages of material, including new chapters, updated chapters, and new drills, and my mental side of the sport book, which is The Game Within the Game, Mastering the Steel Challenge Mental Game. Of course, those books are available at Amazon Books. All right, so let's get on to today's podcast. So, got an email from a new Steel Challenge shooter, and in talking to that person, I got reminded that not everybody out there who listens is necessarily an experienced Steel Challenge shooter who is just trying to get better because they're maybe stuck and having difficulty breaking out and improving. But in fact, we have new shooters all the time. And for new shooters, there's a lot of things that I kind of take for granted that new shooters may find not well understood or confusing about training systems in general, and my dry fire training system in particular. And so she had asked about maybe doing a podcast to talk about some of these more basic things that new shooters need to get a handle on. And so I don't want to make this into this big, long advertising podcast, but one of the things that she mentioned is that not everybody really understands maybe how to exploit the dry fire banners to their fullest extent, and maybe a podcast going over how you would use them might be helpful. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought, that's kind of interesting, particularly for the USPSA drills, because those banners can be used, and I use them all the time for training for Steel Challenge, right? The thing about my Steel Challenge banners is they're just the 8 stages. There's no individual non-stage type drills in banner form. Those are all USPSA. However, there's no reason you can't use certain one of those drills for Steel Challenge training techniques. And so I'm going to go over some of that as well. So to start, right, as I've talked about this many times, including in my book and on many podcasts, dry fire is the key to becoming great at an action shooting sport like Steel Challenge. You simply cannot shoot enough live rounds often enough to get really good in any reasonable length of time. And so we resort to dry fire. And the other reason is, of course, 90% of everything we need to do in Steel Challenge can be done in dry fire without ever pulling the trigger and shooting a live round. I like to think of live training as confirmation that your dry fire training program is working. Right? And it's much easier to do dry fire, right? You can do a 15-minute dry fire session 5 times a week and never leave the comfort of your home. I don't care if you're in the middle of South Dakota and it's February and there's 10 feet of snow on the ground, or you're in the middle of Texas in August and it's 105 degrees outside, right? You can just go into a room and dry fire. So it's a really, really useful technique from that standpoint as well. Okay, so assuming you get the idea that you need to be doing dry fire, how do we exploit the banners? So a couple of things that the Steel Challenge stage banners are really, really good for. Obviously, they're good for practicing the entire stage. They're good for trying out different, if you're not sure which sequence you want to use, they're a perfect way to run lots and lots and lots of trials to get which sequence you prefer. I hear all the time, well, I tried this sequence you recommended and I didn't do very well, so I went back to my old way. And I asked the person, so how many times did you shoot the way I recommended? Oh, 10 or 15. And how many times have you been shooting the way you shoot now? Oh, for 5 years, right? Of course, you're not going to get any benefit out of that. You've got to give it an equal amount of time before you can really determine which way is better. Well, the only way to do that without shooting 30 or 40,000 rounds a year is to dry fire. So the banners are perfect for looking at different sequences in a relatively short period of time and figuring out which way you want to go. The other thing the banners are really good for is for first shot training, right? We know that the first shot is everything. It's 40% of your score in a Steel Challenge run. And so you're never going to be a great Steel Challenge shooter if you don't learn to have that blistering draw to the first target or that first shot from a rimfire rifle or a rimfire pistol. To dry fire banners, you can do hundreds and thousands of first shot plus one drills and get very good very quickly at doing that. Okay. The other thing banners are great for is, in my book, there are the micro transition drills that I talk a lot about. Okay. This is and you need to set up the stage to do these micro transition drills. Well, that's right. Difficult to do when you're live fire. You're not going to do more than maybe 2 stages in a session. You're certainly not going to shoot 5, 6, or 7, or all 8 stages in one training session live and do micro transition drills. Well, in dry fire, since it takes about 30 seconds to put up a new stage by hanging up a new banner, you can go through lots of different stages and do lots of different micro transitions in a very short period of time. And so you can pick out, say, maybe there's one micro transition that you're struggling with on all 8 stages. Well, you can work on that one micro transition and you can do all 8 stages in one training session with the banners, and you'll never be able to do that dry fire. Okay? So those are some of the more straightforward things you can use the dry fire training banners for when you're trying to get better. Maybe a little later on I'll go into more detail about some more advanced stuff with the banners, but that should get people started if you're new to Steel Challenge dry fire training. And then the other part of this, of course, is the USPSA drills. Don't think of these USPSA drills just for USPSA shooters, because they're not. There are several drills, and I'm just going to mention a couple of them real quick here, that are very useful because they teach basic, fundamental action shooting skills that are required for Steel Challenge. The fact that they're also required for USPSA is interesting, but not the issue at the moment. Okay, and the drills in particular I'm talking about are that are in banner form are the X drill, the several different variations of the partials drill, the accelerator drill, and the distance changeup drill, and the 3 or 4 different transitions drills. All of those drills work on fundamental skills, right? They work on transitioning between long targets and short targets. They transition between hard targets and easy targets, and they help you to develop what's the appropriate sight picture that you need to learn as you're trying to learn to do target focused shooting instead of sight focused shooting. And you need to do that with both hard targets and easy targets, long targets and near targets, and then combinations of those near and hard, far and easy, right? All those different various combinations. And the thing like the X drill and the partials and the accelerator and distance change, all those different drills, those can all be used to attack all those different aspects of transitions, okay? And so they become very valuable as alternate training methods in dry fire And of course, these drills are perfect for live. They're versions of live fire drills as well, but you want to be able to exploit them many times when you're doing dry fire. And so for those of you out there that are trying to get yourself to the next level, and even you newer shooters, when you're thinking about dry fire, after you get yourself a set of the dry fire banners and you understand how to use them, you're going to want to think about eventually maybe picking up some of these USPSA drill banners, because those drills, while technically they were designed for USPSA shooting, they're also designed to help you become a better Steel Talon shooter, because these drills, they're straightforward, simple drills that work on the fundamentals of action shooting. There's nothing crazy or advanced. If you look at those 40 some odd drills I've gotten there, I've got some sample stage drills and other things that are really targeted only to USPSA. But these drills that I mentioned here are, you can do them for any action shooting sport. So they're wonderful drills. And like I said, I've got a whole collection of, quote, USPSA banners that I use when I'm training, in addition to just the classic 8-stage, complete stage training banners as well. Okay, so hopefully that gives you guys a little bit of more insight into how to exploit my dry fire training banners, both the Steel Talon specific ones and the more generic USPSA ones that can be used for Steel Talon training, and help you get some sense of what those things can be useful for to help you improve your shooting, things like target focus shooting and speeding up your transitions and all those fundamental kinds of things, first shot, all that kind of stuff. All right. So with that, I think we're going to end this podcast with that. And so remember, as always, slowing down is never the right answer. Never. You need to learn to see faster.